It's the weekend of champions and things are really hotting up for the Super Pro VAG Trophy and the Mark II Golf GTI Championships. It's make or break time for the title contenders, and where better to decide the outcome than this uber challenging circuit that is Snetterton. The Mark II Golf GTI Championship has been very close this year and has been dominated by two men, Jamie Martin and Alex Bomber Harris.
Deep down, honestly, I'm confident. I've got James who's going to be on me, but I think that will actually give me an edge and it will keep me sharper because we know that he's going to be pushing the whole way, so I'll just have to go out for an all-out win.
It is tricky, it is slippy. You know, experience will count, so maybe some of the younger drivers will struggle a bit, but hopefully we'll go out there and see what the conditions will allow us to do.
The battle really is on between Martin and Bomber Harris, so this is going to be a good race.
Promises to be a very, very tight one on a very greasy surface as well. Persistent drizzle all morning. And this is how they line up, with Jamie Martin in pole position, James Bark alongside him, then Vocard and Peter Milne on row 2, Colin Hayes and Martin Walsh row 3. Let's get ready for the start of the race. Who's going to make the jump from the line? As the red lights flash out and away we go. It's a good start from James Bark. He's got away very nicely, but Jamie Martin may just have the advantage as they head towards riches for the first time. It is Jamie Martin who turns in the lead the race. Second place is James Bark, and then who's going to be third? It's Peter Milne who's come up into third. Good start for him. Darren Bedford as well, already up to fourth, and Martin Walsh in fifth. So it's Vocard who's really lost out in the early exchanges. As they arrive into the Montreal hairpin, they all just about squeeze their way through. So see if we can get the cars stopped just to catch a glimpse of Alex Bomber Harris there. A little bit lower down the field, one of the Class 1 runners in the 8 valve car. A big slide there from Jake Johnson going through Palmer. He's able to keep it though, pointing in the right direction as he fights up in the top places. But it is Jamie Martin, as has so often been the case this year, who's got the lead from James Bark in second. We haven't seen much of James Bark in the championship during 2012, but he is a very quick driver, a former race winner, and I think if anybody he could really take the fight to Jamie Martin this afternoon. Then we've got a battle shaping up quite nicely between Peter Milne and Darren Bedford for third and fourth, with fifth position in the hands of Martin Walsh. They all stream through. Williams, a spin there for Josh Johnson. You saw him getting it wrong on the way into Williams, and he goes around, and the rest of the field is surely all going to pass him as Johnson looks to rejoin, which he does now. So both the Johnsons have been a little bit lurid on this first lap of the race, as Darren Bedford all over the tail of Peter Milne. Milne is going to have his work cut out here if he wishes to hold on to third position, because Bedford is really looking fairly feisty. And then we've got Martin Walsh behind him, but Walsh slows coming out to Nelson, and we've got a problem there for Martin Walsh, and the indicator goes on, which would suggest that's a lot more than a missed gear. So Martin Walsh, unfortunately, in trouble in the early stage of the race. So great shame for him, as the rest of the pack all stream towards the bomb hole. Lights ablaze, one of the cars led downfield. That's Harry Vocard. So Vocard has had some dramas on this first lap of the race. He's looking to pick his way up through the order, the former touring car racer. Also Josh Johnson, of course, with plenty to do. None of this, though, any concern for the race leader, Jamie Martin. He's still in command from James Bark. Then we have got the Peter Milne and Darren Bedford battle that's next along as they head under the gantry on towards riches. Good battle as well a little bit further down the order. It's Adrian Ward who's just ahead of that. He has got Jake Johnson and Matthew Weller right on his tail. The trio head through riches, accelerating on towards Montreal. And Johnson, well, he's looking very feisty in that white car. Jake Johnson, Matthew Weller closing up on his tail, and again Johnson pitches the car sideways, and that can be Weller's opportunity to pounce, and he does. He goes through, reads the situation perfectly. Jake Johnson just a little bit too enthusiastic with his right foot. It's Chris Skip who's the car running just ahead of them, and Skip looking to be reasonably in control of that fifth position at the moment, as we've got these pairs of cars at the head of the field. Then this three-way fight a little bit lower down the order, and here is the leading pair, with still Jamie Martin leading from James Bark, and then scrap going on for third position. Darren Bedford looking all over the tail of Peter Milne. He dives out of the slipstream, looks the inside to Brundle, can't quite squeeze his way through. He's doing everything that he possibly can to squeeze past him. The problem is these cars are so evenly matched in the championship regulations are such that really you can't develop the cars that much. It means that they run to within just a few hundredths of a second of each other out on track, and that can make overtaking very difficult at the very head of the field, where the drivers are all of quite a calibre. So we've got this scrap going on between Adrian Ward, he's the multicoloured car, Matthew Weller just behind him through the bomb hole, and Ward already defending a little bit into Coram Curve. He's trying to prevent Weller getting through, as Peter Mill still holding on doggedly to that third position. Although Darren Bedford's got a good run here out of Murray's and may draw alongside him as they accelerate along the centre straight on towards Richards, and Darren Bedford may just have moved through here. He does, and that was a lovely move from Darren Bedford. He set that up perfectly on the extra Murray's, and Peter Mill cannot retaliate into Richards, so it's third place for Darren Bedford, and I really hope he holds on through to the checkered flag, because he has had all sorts of rotten luck throughout the course of the 2012 season, and he richly deserves a podium finish, although unfortunately it looks as if third is probably the best he's going to be able to achieve here, because the race leaders have already disappeared off a little bit into the distance. He's working through the twists and turns of the Snetterton 300 loop, heading out of Palmer, accelerating on towards the left-hand hairpin at Agostini. Tricky corner, Agostini. He's tracking back a little bit further down the field. Josh Johnson continues his attempts to climb up through the order. In terms of the Class 1 runs, by the way, that's being led by Luke Wales, though he's having a good scrap with Tim Cox, as Jamie Martin heads through Brundle and Nelson. James Barkey stayed in his tail throughout, but he's just not quite been able to close down that gap as enough as he would like to. There's Alex Bomber Harris. He is the next target for Josh Johnson, and Harris, well, by his standards, having a fairly muted race here. And whilst this isn't a pass for class position, Bomber Harris would like to be higher up the order, as he goes head-to-head with Jamie Martin to try and claim the overall crown. He tags Johnson, and Johnson spins around, and Harris goes around as well, and that is bad news for Bomber Harris. That's more places lost for him, so disaster there for Bomber Harris, and that may just be a move that has cost him a shot at the title. It enables some of his class runners, Class 1 rivals, to jump through as Harris rejoins, and that is very disappointing for him. Unfortunately, a little bit self-inflicted as the checkered flag goes out, and it's victory for Jamie Martin. Second place goes the way of James Bark, and then who will hold on for third position? Well, it looked as if it was going to be Darren Bedford, but for Jamie Martin, another victory. He's been nigh on unbeatable when he's made it to the checkered flag this season, and it is Darren Bedford who just snatches third from Peter Mill in fourth. What about, though, the fight for Class 1? Here they come out of the final turn. It's the red car of Luke Wales, who has just got his nose ahead of Tim Cox. Now, will Cox be able to drag his way past him, accelerating up to the flag? Can't quite do it, and it is Luke Wales who wins the class from Tim Cox. So let's take a look at the final results from a fairly lively race, with victory for Jamie Martin, second place for James Bark, and completing the podium, Darren Bedford. In terms of Class 1, well, it's Luke Wales from Tim Cox and Lee Ketteridge. Celebration time for the drivers on the rostrum, as Luke Wales gets a round of applause as he heads to the top step for his Class 1 trophy, and then the race. And race overall, and Class 2 winner Jamie Martin receives the spoils of victory.
Jamie, congratulations, champion overall.
Yeah, really, really pleased with that. The weather throws it into doubt. Barkey's a fantastic driver, last year's champion. I just want to thank Carvel Motorsport. We worked hard on the car to make it right, because obviously we had our problems early in the year. I want to thank John Hillen for making such a great tin top series, and it is, in my opinion, the best tin top and lowest price series. And you know, to win it is fantastic. I'm over the moon. That race, his car was stronger in a couple of areas, my car was stronger in others, and it was a case of managing the gap. I'm just absolutely stoked, really, really pleased.
It was a little bit unpredictable at times, yeah. It was. I didn't see the wind coming from the back of the grid, but fortunately for the melee, we managed to find a way through. So yeah, that was really good fun out there today in the wet, sleepy conditions.
Well, it's race 2 for the Mark II Golf GTI Championships. Jamie Martin is very happy with his title, but the race is still on for the rest of the championship.
So the cars set off. It was Jamie Martin who converted pole position to an immediate advantage, with James Bart once more forced to follow in his wheel tracks. However, that situation was not to last too long. Midway through the first lap of the race, the telltale white smoke emanated from the rear of Martin's car, and that precipitated an early retirement for Martin. It promoted James Bart into the lead, a lead that he would not relinquish all the way through until the checker flag. So as the field surged by, Jamie Martin, who's been the standout competitor all season, claiming the championship, unfortunately ending the season in a very disappointing fashion. Further back there was action aplenty as Rachel Pearson had this lively spin into Riches, but fortunately was able to recover to take 21st position. But at the flag, it was victory in the race overall for James Bart, with Harry Vocard in second and Colin Hayes completing the podium, with Lee Kettridge taking Class 1 honours from Luke Wales and Alex Harris, giving us a very jubilant and smiley final podium of what's been an excellent 2012 season of Mark II Golf GTI racing.
Yeah, he's good. I enjoyed that one. It's a shame about Jamie, obviously, because it would hopefully have been a good race. I wasn't far behind him earlier, and we made a few changes which were for the better, so I would have liked to have given him a better race this time, but want to be, unfortunately.
Yeah, really pleased. Fantastic to be here. It's a great championship to be in, and for my fourth race to finish, I've had three podiums now and win a race. It's just beyond belief, really. But I've had a great weekend. Fantastic. Me and John had a good battle at the start, and I thought it was going to be a bit tighter than what it was. I managed to get away, then get a bit of a lead and held on to it. Great, excellent.
Let's take a look then at the final championship standings. And in Class 2, Jamie Martin winning with over double the point score of his nearest rival Pete Milne, with Martin Walsh in third, and Alex Harris winning Class 1 from Tim Cox and John Major. The championship overall then, it's Martin by 10 points from Harris, with Cox in third.
Well, that's it for part 1, and Jamie Martin is the worthy winner of the Mark II Golf GTI Championships. Join us in part 2 for the Super Pro VAG Trophy.